Coming up tonight, fuel prices go up next week. The President attends University of Fiji graduation. And 120 acres of land identified for rice revitalization. Good evening, I'm Michael Ranamalo. The continuous volatility in the Middle East has once again impacted smaller economies, particularly in the Pacific region, as fuel prices take yet another price hike. Minister for Trade Aiyaz Sayed-Khaiyum, in making the fuel increase announcement this afternoon, says more burden would now be placed on consumers as the country relies heavily on imported fuel.
Those of you who do follow world commodity pricing, etc., would know that the price of oil has spiked recently, as a result of which, following a review and using the template that the Commerce Commission has put in place, a new price increase comes into place from Monday, this coming Monday. And we are here essentially to tell you about that and for you to be able to hear firsthand from the Commerce Commission, the oil companies and of course the Retail Association about that. So by way of announcement, the current price of motor spirits, it will go up by 13 cents a litre. So it jumps from $2.48 a litre to $2.61. Premix also goes up by 13 cents. Current price is $2.40. It goes up to $2.53. Kerosene will go up by 2 cents a litre, $1.84, going up to $1.86. And diesel will go up by 6 cents. Currently it's $2.25 a litre, and the new price will be $2.31 a litre.
Since December last year, the crude oil price has increased by $16 per barrel. This prompted the Commerce Commission to review its wholesale and retail prices so that the appropriate prices was provided to supplier.
The increase in price at the global level is basically due to two factors. One is the situation in Middle East, which is kind of affecting supply, and the second is global economic activity. Economic activity in US is basically sounding promising and increasing. Also, there is a major demand surge in the Euro zone with the winter there. So this has basically boosted both the demand and supply side, is causing major and significant increases in crude oil prices at the global level.
The President, His Excellency Ratu Epeli Nailatikau, in officiating at the 5th graduation of the University of Fiji, thanked the 75 graduates for overcoming adversities to mark an important day in their lives. The President of Fiji and Chancellor of the University of Fiji, Ratu Epeli Nailatikau, during the graduation ceremony at the Saweni campus in Lautoka yesterday, said that while many went through a lot of pain, hardship and suffering, their resilience needed to be commended.
After weeks of uncertainty and disaster, 75 students from the University of Fiji marched into the school hall to get their certificates, their diplomas, degrees, and even their postgrad certificates. And to make the day even more special for them was His Excellency, the President of Fiji, Ratu Epeli Nailatikau, who was chief guest. Addressing the graduates, Ratu Epeli reminded the students not to forget those that made sacrifices for them and the hardships that they encountered this year.
At the same time, I thank you all for coming out in full force today. Despite the ravages of the unsettled weather you have experienced early this year and in the last few weeks. My wife and I, like the rest of Fiji, are fully aware of the heartaches and the hardships that were caused to those of you who live in the Western Division by the torrential rain, mudslides and floods that you have recently experienced. But we were both also heartened to see the resilience of our people from every walk of life and in all our communities.
The University of Fiji was established by the Arya Pratindi Sabo of Fiji to provide high and affordable education to many students who had no access to other tertiary institutions. And the President once again thanked all the stakeholders for their efforts in making education available to the needy.
The surroundings where we are gathered, the primary and the secondary schools nearby, as well as this university, are the fruits and the results of extreme adversity. They are a living testimony to the triumph of the human spirit and will over extreme trials and tragedies.
Small island nations like Fiji may finally get to have their voices heard about climate change and its impact on the islands, as an investigation is expected to get underway to see if big emitters have a legal responsibility to keep their greenhouse gases from hurting other countries. Australian media reports that the island of Palau has requested the United Nations to carry out an investigation.
Climate change has been an issue that has been affecting many, with evidence being the continuous rain, soil erosion to coastal erosion. This has seen government take a proactive stand, with Fiji signing and ratifying the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change back in 1992 and also the Kyoto Protocol to the Climate Change Convention in 1998. Last month, after more than a year of intensive study, Fiji released its first ever national climate change policy under the guidance of the Minister of Local Housing and Environment, Samela Saumatua. And the fight to have their voices heard has seen 17 countries back the small island nation of Palau in asking the United Nations to start an investigation into whether big industrialized countries should be held responsible for climate change. Australian Foreign Minister Bob Carr has volunteered Australia to give evidence on behalf of poor nations that want the United Nations to investigate if big emitters have a legal responsibility to keep the greenhouse gases from hurting other countries. The UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon was informed Palau is asking that the UN International Court of Justice assess how much countries were responsible for the damage their emissions did overseas. It is understood this step is being taken so that the International Court can increase diplomatic pressure to cut emissions faster and not cast the blame. Fiji is a member of the Ambassadors for Responsibility on Climate Change.
Coming up after the break, 120 acres of land identified for rice, and students graduate from Tower Control Academy.